What's up, Blues fans? My name is Brandon. I got Brandon with me here today. We're talking Blues Jets Game 3 Western Conference first round playoff match. Should be an interesting one. You're not going to get a puck drop till about 8:45 tonight, so it'll be a late one. I'm feeling a triple overtime game. So let's get into some talk here about Blues Jets Game 3. In all realistic, I really hope it's not triple overtime because I don't think I'm gonna make it. But 8:30 puck drop, St. Louis time, Central Standard Time. It feels like a triple overtime type of game. The way these two teams have been playing the last few games, and you get a 2-1 Blues loss the other day in Game 2, and then a 3-1 with 4-3, 5-3 loss in Game 1. 5-3 loss in Game 1. Your quick thoughts on, I know we haven't got to do one of these in a while, in a little bit. Yeah. Your quick thoughts on Game 1 and 2. Give me a minute and a half blurb about Game 1 and 2. What your thoughts? How you feeling about them?
So, one big thing that I did notice is that coming into this series, power play and the penalty kill had been doing better than coming into the series and seeing how games 1 and 2 have kind of went. They're 3 for 6 on the power play in games 1 and 2, and they've been keeping the Jets, who came into the series with one of the top power plays in the league, and they've kept them to one power play goal out of, I think, 6 or 7 chances. Mm-hmm. So, that's for the Blues, that's huge because they're such a dominant power play team, and they get a lot of points off the power play. And just to see that they've kept them to only one power play goal has been huge for the team. Now, the one thing I will say is that, yes, the Blues have they've done really good job throughout the first and second periods of this series. They've been hitting hard. They've been doing their checks. They've been doing what they need to do in the first couple of periods. And we've seen a lot of goals, but also to that fact is you have to play 60 minutes in order to get to where you want to in these games, and they just have been falling short in both the third periods for Game 1 and Game 2, and that's when really we've seen the Jets really come out and get the game-winning goals against the Blues, and just because they don't keep up with the same amount of dominance, the same amount of intensity as they do in the 2 periods before the third period. And ultimately, I would say that the Blues have lost the first game and the second game of this series so far.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 periods of Game 1 and had to listen to the third period on the car on the way home from an Easter event and whatnot. But I when they came out Game 1, I was like, dude, like this is exactly what they need. They scored 2 or 3 minutes 4 minutes into the game, something like that, 15-minute mark of Game 1 in the first period. I was, this is exactly what they needed, to start. And then, and I wasn't expecting it to be a all blues kind of game. Winnipeg's a good team. They're a heck of a team, and that's their first place in the West for a reason. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting them just to sit back and be like, nah, we're just not going to do this. We're just going to, not play. I would agree to somebody, somebody commented like, this is a different Jets team than the 2019 team. I 100% would agree with that.
100% would agree with that. They're a lot bigger. They're a lot stronger. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different team compared to what we saw in 2019.
Yeah. You have Connor Hellebuck, who the Blues have, I don't want to say figured out, but they can't get anything from his shoulders down past him. But everything above his shoulders has been in the net so far, at least from what I saw. My big thing with Game 1 and 2 is that I feel like both the game-winning goals, Game 1 by Iafallo, and then the Game 2 by Kyle Connor. I feel like both those goals were almost in the if they weren't in the same spot, they were in the same vicinity.
Yeah, they were relatively in the middle slot.
Yeah.
Middle slot, and the troubling part about both those sequences of both of those goals is that you had two guys crashed to below the goal line with, I think it was Mark Sheffield that had the puck at the time for both goals.
Mm-hmm.
And you had two players pretty much crash to the bottom of or down below the net with them. And you leave Iafallo and Connor both kind of just sitting on Bennington's doorstep to where he can't really, if they're able to get the pucks out to either Iafallo or Kyle Connor, you're pretty much looking at wide open opportunities to get goals, which we've seen Blues get plenty of goals from that position and from that sequence style of play.
Right.
And to no avail, of course, we see both of those players get goals in the fashion where even if Bennington knew what was going to be happening, those are two goals that it's just like you can't really give any of the trouble to Bennington because of how the sequence of those plays went.
Right. Those are hard pucks to stop for any goalie. Yeah. For any goalie to try to stop those is almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally it'll happen, but not too often. Looking at like just another thing that I kind of bring up before we talk about Game 3 here is that they haven't been very good even strength. They've been outplayed a majority of the time when they're at even strength. The only goals so far, I think all four. How many goals? 4 Blues goals have been on the power play.
Majority of them, yeah.
Yeah, if not 3 of the 4 have been on the power play. I know there was 2 in Game 1, and they went 1 for 4 in Game 2.
I think one of the goals in Game 1 was even strength, but I actually no. I think all four so far have been off the power play, and I mean this is a team coming into the end of the season. They were one of the best 5-on-5 teams, but I think a lot of what is having to do with a lot of this, Brandon, is that you see a lot of that play that we've seen towards the end of the season. It was Robert Thomas, it was Pavel Buchnevich, Cam Fowler, and maybe Colton Parayko towards the end of the season since he got only the 1 game.
Yeah.
But with a lot of that too, you're looking at, which I don't think he's quite off of the injury that he sustained during Utah's game, which I think is the reason why you see Robert Thomas a little bit sluggish, why he wasn't able to really keep up with Mark Sheffield in the first game to get the goal off of to Iafallo. And Parayko, I mean, he played, I think, under 20 minutes in Game 2, which leads me to believe that he's still somewhat lingering a little bit with his knee injury, maybe a little bit. So, I mean, you got to think at some point throughout the playoffs, you're always going to see somewhat of injuries to these guys, and they may or may not say anything because they want to keep going for the team. But I would almost bet 100% that Robert Thomas and Colton Parayko are kind of suffering a little bit from lingering injuries that they're not able to play at 100%, and those are 2 guys that are going to keep you in these games at 5-on-5, and why they probably haven't got as much 5-on-5 action. Right. And 2, you saw Cam Fowler getting a lot of offensive time towards the end of the season, and he hasn't really had a whole lot of chances coming into the first 2 games of this playoff series. And I think that's somewhat of the realization is like this team is very good 5-on-5 when you have the right players doing their parts in the offensive zone and defensive zone. And some of them, I don't feel like they're playing at 100% all the way whenever we've seen them so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I saw the other day, there was one point early on in the game that it was a stoppage in play. Robert Thomas was kind of down on his knee, and you could see it in his face that something still bugging him, and he's playing through it, which is great because there are, I wouldn't say the injury bug's there, but it's there. I mean, you don't have Holloway, and it doesn't sound like he's coming back. I haven't officially seen anything about that. I saw one thing earlier that, I tried to look it up, tried to find Rutherford personally, I actually said that that Holloway was going to be out for the season because there was a post that was going around that said Holloway was out for the remainder of the season, and he won't play in the playoffs. I couldn't find anything on that, whether or not it was true or false. I don't know if you've seen anything on that or not.
I just saw that he was still listed as week to week, and I think that was like 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
I don't think that we're going to be, which I think was a clear indication that we're not going to be seeing him for the near future. Right. And we probably won't be seeing him throughout the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't want to say it was, I mean, the post said it was per Jeremy Rutherford. I haven't seen anything from his account that says Holloway's out for the season, unless it was mentioned in something that, he's not posting on. So, so we'll see what happens there. Look at this game here. So Blues are coming back, back home for the next 2 games. They have one of the better home records since February. In the last several months, they're 24-14 and at home during the regular season. But Winnipeg has the NHL leading 26 road wins on the season. They're up 2-0. How important is it for the Blues to get a jump tonight, being at home in front of the fans here in St. Louis? How important is that?
I mean, if you're a Blues team that wants to continue into the playoffs and potentially see ground into round 2 or more possibly, I think if you're looking at game 3 and not trying to come out with a victory, because I mean, going down Winnipeg 3-0, I mean, you're still going to be at home, but if you come out down 3-0 in the last game here and you win that game and you go back to Winnipeg with a 3-1 series down, it's going to look very unlikely that they're going to be able to really come back from it. Because, I mean, Winnipeg has been very good at home. They're very good on the road. And if they're able to somehow or some way be able to take this game at home, that would be that. I would almost say it's a crucial thing for St. Louis if they're wanting to continue with the playoffs. Now, I get that a lot of people weren't really expecting the St. Louis Blues to really be in this position, and just for them to be in the first round is just a feat to itself. But me personally, I would love to see them win tonight, and I really hope that they do, because if they don't, it's gonna be the odds of them getting back into the series and even things up is gonna be extremely hard.
Yeah. I mean, teams are 207-4 when they're down 3-0 in best of sevens. I mean, unfortunately, the Blues have been on the wrong side of that. It's been a while. It's been a while, but it's happened. Earlier on in playoff success of the Blues. I would agree. I think coming out early, coming out strong, fast. You have to play as much as you want to play at first and second period, tough, physical. I mean, they had almost 80 hits in game 1. Something on that order.
I think there's like
at
least 40 hits. At least 40 hits between both teams in the second game. So I mean, it would be good to continue that physicality.
Yeah.
Almost, I don't want to say tell them to let up a little bit, but almost dial it to a point to where you're not dishing it out everything in the first or second period, maybe even it out to where you're not going full bore right out of the gate, but you're still playing to a point to where, like, if you are able to get in the offensive zone and get into the paint around Hellebuck and make it hard on him, get the chances, take what you can. I just don't know if, and I could be completely wrong in that they almost have to, because of how good Winnipeg is playing. You might almost have to just come out of the gun or gates blasting, but I don't know. I feel like they need to do something different, because the way that they've been doing it the first 2 games, it almost would be cause for history to repeat itself in the third period, where you see them a little sluggish because they put everything that they could into the first two periods.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully it's not the case tonight. It's all about changing things up a little bit. No Matthew Joseph tonight, so you get Alexander Texas as of right now. Now,
yeah.
I'll give you a little. Monty said he's not gonna. I think is what it said. We're not gonna know whether it's gonna be 11-7 or 12-6 till literally right before the puck drops.
Pretty much
is what he's saying. So, but you look at some defensive changes, and this is what he said during his press conference today. Pregame press conference on the defensive lineup decision of possibly sitting Ryan Suter tonight. He said, it doesn't matter who you sit at this time of the year. Everybody has helped you to get to the playoffs. The guys that are going to play tonight are the guys that I feel give us the best opportunity to win our first game in the playoffs. So you get Alexander Texier in there. You get Tyler Tucker in replacement of Suter as of right now. Now, it might change. Suter might be in. He might not be. We don't really know yet.
Yeah. How do you feel about this move of putting Joseph out and having Alexander Texier in the net or in his spot more or less on that third line? I mean, we've seen him in this later in the season that whenever he's came in 2 games after sitting for a long period of time, that we've seen him kind of excel a little bit. Do you think that that's going to be why that they're kind of making this move to bring Texier in, or do you think it's just like just something that we've seen Joseph may not have been putting the best effort forward, and we're going to try to go a different route maybe?
I think that has a little bit to do with it, that they didn't like the way he necessarily played the other day. My only concern is that I know Texier has been in the NHL for a little bit longer than Tyler Tucker and Zach Bolduc and those kind of guys, but we've seen guys already early, or, crucial points of the game. Like, for example, the Tyler Tucker penalty the other night that led to did it lead to a Jets goal? I want to say it did. Maybe it led to the second goal.
No, maybe because they didn't get any power play goals in the second game.
But still, you can't have those kind of penalties. You look at the Zach Bolduc one, too. In game 1, like these are young kids who don't have a lot of playoff experience. I understand Joseph probably doesn't either, just because he's been, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, places like that. But those are young guys who are going up against, Mark Sheffley, Kyle Connor, Brandon Tanev, who've been in these situations, who've been, in the playoffs for a while. So I think it'll add a little bit of a spark to that third line. That's going to see, Texier, Sundqvist, and Bolduc. It's another. I think. I mean, that's almost going to be as physical a line as Toropchenko, Faska, and Walker.
Yep, I would agree, because all 3 of those guys are pretty physical. Mm-hmm. Sundqvist has been a key part of. I mean, he's a very good two-way forward for the Blues. Yeah. Bolduc and Texier, they're younger guys, and I feel like they could be a good matchup for these guys. And I mean, we've seen them where Texier has gotten goals with this line in the past in the regular season, and I don't know, it could be a good matchup for these guys, and hopefully we see some sort of contribution from them in some way or shape or form, because I mean, not everybody gets goals and everything. There's more ways to contribute than just that fact. So Hopefully we'll see something good from Texier with being his first
playoff game
game for the Blues.
Yeah, that's my only concern is it's just sometimes it's a bigger moment than they realize, to put it that way. Yep. Kind of jump over to the lineup a little bit, since we talked about that. You get Jimmy Snuggerud, Robert Thomas, and Buchnevich on line 1. Neighbors, Shin, and Kyrou on line 2. Texier, Sundqvist, Bolduc on 3. Toropchenko, Faska, and Walker on 4. And then you get the defensive pairings of Cam Fowler, Colton Parayko, Broberg, and Falk, Nick Leddy, and Tyler Tucker tonight, with, of course, the man Jordan Binnington in net to start tonight's game. Again, We don't know if this is for sure how it's going to be. This is just projected. Might see 11-7. You might see 12-6 tonight still, for the Blues when it comes to how they shape their lineup. Which one would you prefer to see? You see more forwards or more defensemen? I don't necessarily think they played game one awful, but game two wasn't awfully. It was almost better than game one. Besides the last period again.
That would be hard to really think about, because to the point that you just made, game one wasn't really that bad of a chance. I mean, the only reason it more or less was 5-3 in game one is because you attempted to pull the goalie multiple times to try to see if you could even up the game when it was still 4-3.
Yep.
And you're trying to do your best to be able to get a chance to get that equalizing goal. And I mean, ultimately, aside from the third periods of both game one and game two, these games have been relatively even for the most part. I mean, shots on goal have been relatively even. Hits, I think the Blues had a few more hits than what the Winnipeg Jets have had in both games. So, I mean, really, in all honesty, it seemed like that it could go either way. I don't really know if there's a wrong way to really go about this, just from the fact of, like, we've seen both 12-6, 11-7. I really don't know if there's a wrong way of going about this, just from the situation of how we've seen both games going prior to this game.
Yeah, let's just go 9-8. Why not?
I don't know if that would be a good idea.
3 offensive lines for defensive pairings.
I don't know if that would be a good idea, but hey, whatever they want to do, I guess.
Any final thoughts? You got a score prediction for tonight? Hopefully not triple overtime. If it's triple overtime, that'll be a freaking winner. Good God.
I don't know. I feel like this could be kind of a lower scoring game, just kind of like how the last couple of games have been. I feel like it could be like a 2-1 or a 3-2 type game. But I don't know. With how close these games have really been, I don't really know if I could really give you an honest estimate just of how close they have. If I were to give a hopeful estimate, I would say it may be like a 3-2 Blues victory.
In overtime or regulation?
In all honesty, I think if they're going to come out with a victory, I think it's going to be in overtime.
Okay. It's quadruple overtime tonight, folks. Game ends at 3:30.
Please hope not.
3:30 in the morning. I hope not, too. I mean, that'd be cool. I won't lie. I'm not going to be up for it, so I don't think.
You and me both.
I don't think. Give me. I like a 2-1 Blues win. I think it'll be that kind of close, tight, kind of game, back and forth game like we've seen between the two teams so far. I like a 2-1 Blues win. I just think it makes sense for them to win this game. It makes
fair
sense.
Enough. Yeah, I think if we want, like we said before, if they want to come out and do what they want to do with this series, I think they're going to have to come out and win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough as a place Winnipeg is to play St. Louis, Enterprise. When it gets loudy, we'll just put Loudy and Rowdy together. Loudy. When it gets loudy in the Enterprise Center, where it can be a tough place to play for any team.
Oh, of course. I mean, you're looking at a Winnipeg Jets arena that can only hold 15,000 fans. I mean, yeah, then they get loud as can be. But I mean, you're looking at St. Louis and Enterprise Center that can hold 3,000 more people. I mean, what I would almost say is just as hard an arena to play in, because the fans in St. Louis get very loud. They get very rowdy. And it's
Loudy, baby.
So it'll be interesting to see how the game tonight goes. I mean, if they get out to a lead quick and early, or even if they, like we've seen them come back from being down a couple goals, that arena is going to get loud and is going to get just as crazy in there as what we've seen from Winnipeg. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anything different. I think it's going to be much of the same from the fans in St. Louis, and it's going to be a loud environment no matter what the occasion is.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going tonight, have fun, enjoy the game. It's a late one, 8:30 puck drop, but we know it'll probably be about 8:46, 8:47 before they actually drop the puck. In St. Louis tonight, Game 3, Winnipeg takes on St. Louis in round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Brandon, thanks for joining today, the Little Blues pregame show here. We talked about Game 3 a little bit and whatnot. So you probably I don't know about a post game. Depends on how late the game goes. Just depends on how late the game goes. We'll see. You might see us later. If not, we'll be back at some point in time to talk about your St. Louis Blues here on STL Sports. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.
See ya.